Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. It was announced by ESPN that 30 for 30 is going to be doing a documentary on the XFL. Of course, this is the football league that was started by Vince McMahon, I believe, back in the year 2001. Their games were put on NBC, UPN, and TNN. I don't really remember all that well, but I do know this is about the time that Monday Night Raw moved over to TNN and SmackDown moved to the UPN. So I don't know if this was sort of like a handshake deal that was a part of the Raw and SmackDown deals that WWE did for television deals back in the day, that they sort of did them together. Of course, at that time, NBC wasn't running Saturday night main events or the WrestleMania special or anything like that. So I know that Dick Ebersol, who is in charge of NBC Sports, they put a large investment into this football league as well. Of course, as everybody knows, every year the NFL gets a little bit more and more popular. I guess this year is the first year they've seen a decline in ratings. A lot of people are saying just because of them not putting good matchups, whether if that is not having a main event game on Thursday. We've seen a lot of games like the Browns or the Jaguars, or even my San Francisco 49ers have been put on Thursday night football. And as bad as the Niners are right now, they have no business being on national television. They don't even have business being on in the San Francisco market sometimes. The team's so bad. But the XFL is been a topic of conversation on the Wrestling Observer. People have been writing in to the message boards. The network has been going strong for the WWE for about 2 years now. And, a lot of people are saying, when are the XFL games going to be added onto the network? And, some people have come back and basically said that they don't really know how the contracts worked with the XFL and the players. And, a lot of the older wrestlers that were with older contracts are trying to sue WWE right now because they don't have any royalties coming to them from the WWE network. And of course, as everybody knows, with Coliseum home videos and DVD releases, when those were sold, the wrestlers used to get royalties off of those. But now with the WWE network, right off the bat, not even the wrestlers that are under contract right now are getting royalties off the network, because the way the wording is in the contract, they don't have to pay off of that. That's money that just basically WWE keeps and slides off to the side. And I can be honest, it was sort of a funny thing in my mind when the network was first conceived that the XFL games would be put up there. But I can honestly tell you this, I'm not really interested in watching, these are words taken right out of Dave Meltzer's mouth, that many people aren't going to be interested in watching minor league football games from 10 years ago. And I think that's honestly probably one of the best ways to put it. I'd probably put on the debut game. I'd watch about maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes to sort of see the atmosphere of the game. And that's just about it. I don't think I would be watching a whole season of football or wanting to watch I believe it was called the $1 Million Game, which I believe is won by what they call maybe I'm getting it mixed up, but it was something like the Los Angeles Express, but I might be getting that mixed up with the USFL football team from back in the day. But I can honestly tell you that I can look forward to an hour and a half or a 2-hour documentary from ESPN's 30 for 30. I can honestly tell you that I've watched every ESPN 30 for 30. I know that they've done splits off of this, and now they have ESPN 30 for 30 soccer documentaries. I honestly don't watch those, but some of my favorite ones are actually the ones that are only online, called ESPN 30 for 30 Shorts. Those are really, really good. But some of the 30-30s have been really good, and they've opened my eyes to sports stories that I really didn't know a lot about, such as like the USFL one, where the league was basically shut down by Donald Trump. And that might be a cool one for you guys to go watch if you've never seen it, because of, with Trump being voted in as president, and basically him being the killer of the USFL, which was a football league that it wasn't as strong as it honestly could have been, but it was building up steam. I don't think that it would have taken the number one spot of football here in the U.S., but it was an easy alternative to the NFL that played in their offseason that was, spending big money because they had, big hotshot owners like Burt Reynolds and Donald Trump. They had, great players that would have been like one of the number one players in the NFL. Herschel Walker signing out of the University of Georgia to go play in their league. And they signed Steve Young to the largest football contract of all time, which with the Steve Young documentary that was just on the NFL Network, we found out that he had to pay his way to get out of the contract to go play for Tampa Bay in the NFL. And he didn't make as much money as people honestly thought that he was making, or that he was going to make. But I am really looking forward to this. The XFL had a lot of things that was really cool. Of course, they didn't really make the biggest stars that transitioned into the NFL. There was a few people. The guy that wears the uniform, he hates me. I can't remember his name, but he was on the Carolina Panthers. He even played in a Super Bowl. And he had some, sort of success in the NFL. I think he still would have had the job, but I think that he was known and he was talked about mostly for being the XFL star. He hates me. You had the cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tommy Maddox, who came in as a backup. He was in the NFL. I believe he was the quarterback at UCLA. He was drafted to be the replacement in Denver, to replace John Elway. That never panned out to be, and he ended up bouncing out in the league. And because of his success in the XFL, he got the backup job to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I can't remember who got injured off of the Steelers at that time, whether if that was, Cordell Stewart, maybe, but he ended up quarterbacking the Pittsburgh Steelers all the way into the Super Bowl. They didn't get the win, but it is what it is. But this is going to be a fun documentary to watch, and the things that were in the XFL that honestly maybe would have transitioned over to the NFL were like, they didn't do kickoffs. They had a thing, I believe it was called Who Wants It More, where you would put your two best players, I believe 30 yards away, and they would have to sprint, and the football would be placed on the ground, and whoever came up with the ball at the end of the little sort of, scrimmage there, it was kind of like a fumble, would get the ball. And that's how they would start the games. Of course, they would have punts and they have kickoffs throughout the game. That's just how they started the game for first possession. But they didn't make the biggest stars. There was no Herschel Walkers. There was no Steve Youngs. There was nobody like that. But it was fun, and it's going to be fun to look back on. And it's going to be fun to see how Vince McMahon tells the story, how Dick Ebersol tells the story, who else is interviewed along the way. I know Dick Butkus was involved, but I think he was just sort of like a paid employee to sort of make the league look like it had some backbone behind it. I honestly just found out that Dick Butkus wasn't the dad in Webster. I really thought the whole time that was who he was, because at that time, like the guy in the WWE Hall of Fame, the announcer for the Brewers. He was the announcer for the Indians in Major League. He was in the Miller Lite commercials. I can't remember his name. He was on Mr. Belvedere at the time or something like that. So I honestly thought that was Dick Butkus. But the XFL doc is going to be good. It should be on ESPN in February. I said should be because they did a documentary for 30/30 about the Sacramento Kings staying in Sacramento. But because of scandal that broke out with Kevin Johnson, it's still never aired, and I think it's been over a year since it was supposed to air. It was pulled the week that it was supposed to air. If you watch the 30 for 30 openings, it shows scenes from the Sacramento documentary as it's sort of building up to what that week's going to be. The last one they did was about Darryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden, I believe. I didn't really like that one. I didn't like the story that they told about them basically being drug users, but because they were sports stars, it just sort of looked at like, they're doing what they do. And honestly, if it was my story, I wouldn't want it told that way. You could tell that part of it, but it just sort of seemed like they just kept on going back and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And because it's Darryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden, it's no big deal. But it's going to be good times. Hopefully we see this one soon, and we'll see what's going on with the XFL. Peace out, everybody. See you guys down the road.